I got told at the beginning of the year that Auburn High School didn't have enough classrooms to accommodate my class, so we knocked around several ideas on where I would go. So at first, I was in the multimedia room for the first semester, and I stayed in there all day, and then I would go to an office in the afternoon. But at the end of the semester, we did a reevaluation and decided that I would be able to create a better rapport with my students if I had a classroom environment rather than a college landscape. So I partnered with Mrs. Weigel, Mrs. Wentworth, and Mrs. Robertson, and we all unanimously decided for me to float from Miss Weigel's classroom to Miss Wentworth's classroom to Miss Robertson's classroom. And then I would actually move my office in the 200 building at the end of the day, and I would be there for my planning period. And so far, they have all been accommodating and gracious and wonderful, and I couldn't ask for better teachers to help me with the whole floating process. Due to the fact that I was a floating teacher, sometimes I would get displaced in my first semester, so I had an epiphany. I thought, why not have an outdoor classroom? Of course, I had no money, but when I heard of the FACES grant, I thought, well, that might be a great way that I could fund my project. So I brainstormed with another first-year teacher, Mrs. Milligan, and we decided we would think of a way to combine the English class with the art class and work across the curriculum. The grant actually included buying 5 picnic tables, assembling those picnic tables, and then painting those picnic tables. We also worked with Mr. Mullins, the shop and agriculture teacher, who has been wonderful. He worked so quickly and so fast. The day we ordered the tables, he had his class assembled the tables the very next day. And Miss Milligan and I would work with our group of students on creating ideas for the design of the tables, and then we would democratically vote on which ideas were the best for the tables. And then once our ideas were voted on, then her class would implement the painting and the design for her art portion of her class.
I brought my studio art students out to this area, and we took porch paint, and I was able to teach them how to use porch paint, because some of them had never painted a fence or a house or anything, and so you can either get too much paint on your brush or you can get too little. And then after we had the tables painted, the bottoms, the tops, all over, to make sure we didn't have any white spots showing, which will protect them for years to come. And then Mrs. Barrymore's classes had come up with ideas for the design of the tables. We did the handprints. We've got patterns of tigers, patterns of paw prints. We started on that with my studio art students, and we used acrylic paint for that. So they learned also how to use acrylic paint, what types of brushes to use with acrylic paint.
It was awesome. I got to help the school in ways that I never thought I could by painting the tables out that teachers can sign up for. And my handprints will always be on that table out there. And it's really cool to think that maybe in about 5 years, hopefully those tables will still be there with my handprints. And people will ask, whose handprints are those? And they'll be like, I'll say it's mine.
Auburn High School has benefited tremendously from this project. As you can see, it's a beautiful, gorgeous setting here on the campus. Not only were 3 classes involved, but I have seen several teachers bring their classes out and in the dead of winter on a pretty day when the kids haven't been outside in days because it's been raining. They'll bring them out here. This spring, I've seen several kids enjoying these tables to either have classes or downtime.
It was everyone's little contribution into the table all together.
I think Auburn High School will benefit as a whole because I consider this outdoor classroom almost a lab space. So we're creating additional place where students and teachers alike can go and enjoy a lesson from a fresh perspective and fresh environment. I want to open it up to any department that would like to enjoy the space. So my hope is that we can create a schedule for the outdoor classroom and it will be treated like any other lab at Auburn High School.